First of all, I hate doing videos like this. This is something that I found out this week, and whether it's me being naive or I've forgotten about it or just didn't know, I'm not sure. But it's to do with the warranty that Swift give, which is 10-year water ingress. And like I said, I hate having to do these videos because I know everyone at Swift and I really like them, and all the dealers that are selling Swift, being negative about something isn't going to help. And I thought perhaps I shouldn't say anything or do anything about it, but then it niggled in my mind, and I thought, well, no, I think I would want to know about this if I was buying a Caravan, and therefore that's why I'm doing the video. But like I say, I do feel a bit uncomfortable about it because I can imagine what the dealers might be saying. They're trying to sell Swift in these particularly bad times, and then some idiot like me goes on YouTube and says, well, look, there's an issue with the 10-year water ingress warranty that, like I said, I don't think I knew, because I was quite surprised about this. And whether you know about it or not it remains to be seen. So if you did know about this, put your comments down below as you normally do, and it'd be interesting to know if I'm just didn't know about it or whatever it happens to be. So this week we've had a few warranty claims go through, and it's to do with the window rubbers. Now, I have got another video on the issue with the window rubbers on the Swift Caravans, which I'll link to at the end, so it's worth having a look at that, and I go a bit more into detail about what the issue actually is. But essentially, they leak on the front mainly. So it's an issue that's kind of happened in the last 4 or 5 years, where we've seen it kind of pick up to the levels where we have actually incorporated a test in our service schedule to make sure that they're okay, because we used to see it once or twice and it wasn't, it wasn't that big a deal. But when you see it 3 or 4 times and then you see it more often, then we implicated a test on the service schedule. So it'd be interesting if you know of this test that other dealers do, or whether they don't know about it. But it's basically a pinch test. So you take the windows up and then you kind of go around and make sure that the window rubbers are stuck. Now, the reason for that is because obviously if they're not stuck, water's going to get in. And because of the new GRP polyurethane and everything, whereas when the window rubbers leaked before, it used to go into the woodwork and then it would rot the window rubbers, the window wood around the actual aperture, which isn't great. Now what it does is it goes past all that, because polyurethane is impervious to water, and it runs down the Caravan, the inside of the Caravan, and onto the front shelf. Then it damages the front shelf. So we've had 2 instances this week where we've found, using our pinch test, that there's been window rubber needs replacing. So we put a claim in for that. And that was a 2018 or 19 van that was bought new and had been serviced every year. So you would have thought it'd be under the warranty for water ingress. We also had a 2021 van here, which has had, the shelf has actually been damaged. So obviously then we looked at the window rubbers and found that they were leaking. So that was because of the window rubber leak. So we always run our hand along the front shelf just to see if there's any staining, and you can feel it. You can kind of feel it raised. Have a visual look to see if it's staining. And if you catch it early enough, it's not the end of the world. You get a little bit of bubbling and you can't really see it, so you could argue it's not the end of the world, but it's still water ingress, and it's on a scale. It can be a small amount of staining right up to completely rotten and needs to be replaced because it's been so badly damaged. And that obviously depends on how long that water's been getting in. So if it's getting in a small amount, then it doesn't take too long before it does damage that front panel, that front shelf. But we've had an instance where a customer left their Caravan in storage for 6 months and didn't see it, came back and the whole front shelf was rotten and mushrooms growing out of it, and it had gone down and damaged the upholstery. Now, I can't remember if that was in this new criteria that I'm going to talk about, so it might well have been under 3 years, but I can't remember. But that's the extent of the damage, can range from a little bit of staining to completely rotten and no good. So we put the claim in as we normally do, and sometimes we just do it if it's in the workshop, because historically we put a claim in for window rubber and Swift say yes, not a problem, and then we go and replace it and everything's tickety boo. Or if the shelf needs replacing, we do that as well. But this particular one, we got to it before the shelf had actually been damaged. So obviously then that would save Swift some money because they don't have to replace the shelf at more expense. So we put the claim in, just about to do it, got waylaid, did something else, and then we got an answer back from Swift saying it's not covered. So my wife then put another email to them and said, well, why is that? Because we've got claims on the historical claims that are already on. So this is no different to that. So what's changed? Then we were told that there was a new warranty team and that they're looking at the warranty a bit closer, which kind of screams to me money saving, which you can't blame Swift for doing in these times. I think everyone's having a tough time. I think they're backing back on their production, and therefore I would have thought people will have to be laid off and hours cut and things like that. So then I would have thought the focus would be on warranty. How can we save money on warranty? Oh, I'm sorry for the probably abrupt interruption, but I've just been uploading this video that I'm doing and I saw something come up from Moto Matt, and the headline was £4 million losses for Swift. So that probably explains why the warranty team has been tasked with trying to save some money. So, which is what I thought. I had heard something, but not kind of officially. I'd heard something on another channel that they'd posted losses, which unfortunately I can only assume most of the manufacturers are going to be doing because they're all in the same boat for whatever reason. Well, for the cost of living and all this kind of stuff. But my point is these kind of things aren't going to help. I know it's going to be a tough decision, but it is now that I think that this one manufacturer that comes out and bucks the trend and changes how they do things is going to be the one that comes out of this looking rather good and can probably weather the storm. If they carry on doing the same things like this, I just don't think it bodes well for them. So yeah, £4 million loss, pre-tax loss on this year, which obviously isn't great. So I'll put a link to Moto Matt's video down below so you can have a look at that. So now back to what I was saying. And this seems to be that kind of new regime has come in and changing how they're doing. Sarah did actually say a few weeks ago, because it's weird because we're getting asked for photos on things that they would normally not ask for photos on. Because obviously they want to make sure that it's bona fide and not, not a made up one, which I don't know whether dealers do that. I wouldn't like to say. I wouldn't have thought so. But I think they're trying to look at these things and see if they can kind of not do the warranty claims. That's to save money. That's what I'm thinking. So we put the claim in, and then got this email back saying that we couldn't do it. Sarah asked why not. She had a new warranty team, and then I said, well, what if they don't replace the window rubbers, and then we have a water ingress issue, and then the front shelf gets damaged? Because obviously that's going to be a bigger problem. So I thought, well, surely they would then cover that. And then the answer came back saying, no, if that shelf was damaged due to water getting in through the window rubbers, then that's not covered. Again, that kind of boggled my mind a little bit, because we've always been putting these claims in and without a problem. Then we were pointed to the handbook, which was here, and Sarah said, well, when did this change? Is this retrospective, or has it always been like that? And the answer came back to no, it's always been like that. If you have a look in the handbook, we're actually just enforcing the letter of the law a little bit more than we have done before. And it actually says in here, the body shell warranty, which is 10 years if you buy it new, or the remainder of 6 if you buy it pre-owned, providing it's serviced. The body shell warranty covers any defect of the panels or seams of the Caravan. This includes body leaks, delamination of panels or floor, water ingress through any permanently seamed joints. So that is the issue. Permanently sealed seam joints are cant rails, sunroofs, awning rails, things like that. What isn't permanently seamed are window rubbers, and I would presume door rubbers as well. They're classed as perishable. Now, it doesn't actually say what permanently seamed joints means, so it's down to interpretation as to whether you think that so that window rubbers are permanently sealed. Well, they're not. They're classed as consumables, so they're only guaranteed for 3 years. So if you have a 4-year-old Caravan like we have down here, which is relatively new obviously, and you're watering, and the water ingress comes through the window rubbers and damages your front shelf, then unfortunately it's not covered. So I then thought, well, you haven't got a 10-year water ingress warranty then. You've got, some things have got 10 years, some things have got 3 years, but it doesn't say that anywhere. And I didn't know that. And like I said, I might have forgotten about it. I might have known it, and then it hasn't been an issue up until now. So it kind of gone in the midst of time and I haven't thought about it. But I'm the kind of person, if I'm at a show selling a Caravan and someone says, what's the water ingress warranty on this? I say it's 10 years because if you have water ingress, you have water ingress. Doesn't really matter where it's come from unless you left the window open or something, obviously. But if it's down to the manufacturer fault, then it's water ingress and it should be covered for that 10 years or the remainder of 6, whatever it happens to be. But yeah, so that's not the case. So I would have had to say, because when someone asked me the question, I say you've got 10-year water ingress warranty, you've got 3 years on your internals, and I think at the time I'd had an issue before where the windows were actually covered for a year by Dometic, so I had to say that as well because we were having cracks and things, kind of issues with them touching and things like that, which I think they've solved, to be fair. I haven't had that for a while, but I still have to say it because I might be slightly different to a lot of the dealers out there, salespeople at the shows, where if I sell a Caravan, I hand it over, I then, and I'm the port of call if you have an issue. So if I say something at this end with that sale and it's not true, I'm the one who gets it in the ear. And I know a lot of other dealers, especially at the shows, who, when they kind of get people in, the salesperson hasn't got that continuity all the way through the sale. So they can say what they like, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's true. But with me and a lot of other dealers that I know, if you say something, then you've got to back it up. So I'm always very careful to say exactly what is the case. I've never said that unfortunately the water ingress stops at 3 years if it's a consumable seal, which is your window rubbers. Now, it's normally the front window rubbers have an issue because they're the ones that get the most water, because it can, your Caravan obviously slightly sloping forward, and then all the water runs down there. So the front window rubbers get more abuse than the side window rubbers do. We have had issues with side window rubbers leaking and then coming down and soaking the floor and things. So again, after 3 years, that wouldn't be covered. To me, that's water ingress and it should be covered. And I was a bit disappointed when all this kind of came up, because again, it's another negative against the kind of things that I've been saying in my last videos with this transparency thing. Now, the main issue with me is it kind of sullies, it kind of spoils the broth, is that it just feels a bit underhanded and not quite cricket when a manufacturer does this and doesn't really tell you. So what it should say is 10-year water ingress warranty, which is all over the stands, or apart from your window rubbers underneath, which obviously that wouldn't look very good. But it does need to be clearer, so then you can make an informed decision, or at the very least you know about it. So it's something you can keep an eye out for in that year 4 or 5. You know, you can make sure that you're aware of it, and you could even do the pinch test yourself, watch the other video, and then you can make sure that your window rubbers are okay. And it's quite an important thing to do to stop it from being an issue. So I would normally say, 10-year water ingress warranty, not a problem. You know, it's covered by everything, and obviously that's now not the case. So I think there's a few things they can do about this. The first thing is nothing, which I don't think will be good, because they are trying to save some money. But I think with people like me talking about it, and also the customers that I've spoken to aren't very happy about this because they weren't aware of it. So you know, they've done everything they needed to do to keep the water ingress going. You know, they had it serviced every year and done that, and you just assume I've got water ingress, therefore it'd be covered by the water ingress warranty. So I've had to have some difficult conversations with the customers, and obviously they weren't very happy, and I can only assume you'd probably be the same if you'd have been told that as well. So if they didn't do anything, then all those customers are going to feel again like they've been let down, and like I was saying, it's just because you have this issue, you then don't know what other issues are out there that you don't know about until these things happen. It kind of, it's going against this transparency thing. It's hiding issues and things behind, behind the brochure, sorry, behind the handbook and things like that. And it just does not feel nice to me. So they could not do anything at all, but I think the PR would be negative. I think the amount of sales you could possibly lose because of that isn't worth the not doing the warranty. The next thing they could do is just carry on doing the warranty, which is, it's worked up until now. Still have an issue with it because I talk about building inherent issues into the Caravans year after year after year. Water ingress through the window rubbers is certainly one of those. It's happened for the past few years, of 5 or 6 years possibly, but before that it didn't. So the next thing they could do is solve the problem. So because it didn't happen that often before that, it must have been something to do with the GRP panels. Whether they're not keyed up enough to actually allow the sealant to adhere, I'm not sure. Because we don't see this with too many other manufacturers, I don't think, with the window rubbers being being something that is in our psyche that we know about. You might see it once or twice, but not to a degree where we've actually implemented a test into our service schedule. So if they did something about it, now when we fit the window rubbers, we chemical key it as well. We got Prep M, which kind of gives the GRP a kind of a rough feeling. Also, we key it up using a bit of emery cloth or something like that to give it as much as a surface as possible for that sealant to adhere to. So perhaps the panels could be made with some etching in that would allow that sealant to stick. They know how to make Caravans. There must be a way of doing it. And it would just be a case of finding out that thing. So that would be the best scenario, would be to fix the problem. The even better scenario, as I've said in other videos, would be to own the problem, say, right, this has been the problem, tell us about it, maybe release the figures for the warranty to kind of have a base, and then involve us or do a video or some content about what they're doing about it, and then involve us in that, and then we can keep an eye on the warranty claims. Because as a consumer, that person who had that 4-year-old Caravan, they should be ripe for possibly changing into a new one, but that's not happening as much now because the difference in the products aren't that much. So you think, well, why bother changing, because there's no difference, which we kind of see with other things, like the iPhones, the things I'm recording this on. I used to change every single time because the technology had gone on that much. These days I'd probably leave it 3 or 4 models before I change, because it hasn't really changed. And I think that has affected this kind of getting into changing every 3 or 4 years. There's no point really doing it that much with a few tweaks on the upholsteries and a design change. There's no real point in spending sometimes £20,000 to change now. And that's the other issue, is the price keeps going up, and the pre-owned does go up with it, but the price of change is getting to the point where it's too much money to be worth the change. So that 3 or 4 year cycle that we used to see fairly regularly is actually has changed. But that customer now that I've just phoned up and said, sorry, your water ingress isn't covered because it says in the handbook that it's not, and Swift aren't standing by it, they're not going to buy another Swift, because they're going to go, well, what else do I not know? And it just doesn't give you confidence in that manufacturer, and it doesn't feel like they're on your side. So I think the PR thing is bad from one end. If you keep doing this, I don't think it's going to end up well. If you then decide that, okay, we're going to own the problem, we're going to show you how we solve it, we're going to give you the figures and the details, that would then install the trust and the confidence back in that 4-year-old customer that would possibly be changing to buy that new Caravan. So I think, to me, that's the only way forward. I don't see the industry going forward in a positive way if they keep doing things like this. And it has made me a bit mad, as you can probably tell, that I've had to find this out, and I sell the things, or I did. I don't anymore. But yeah, it's not a good feeling, I don't think. So I'm not going to go on too much more about it. So the basics are that your 10-year water ingress warranty is okay on permanent seams, cant rails, awning rails, sunroofs, things like that, but it's not okay on what they call consumables, which is the awning, sorry, the window rubbers and probably the door seal as well. That if it leaks through there, then they're not going to cover it under warranty, and you can have some significant damage as well. So at the very least, keep an eye on your window rubbers. Watch the video that I linked to at the end and do the pinch test yourself. Ask your service engineer if they know about this and to check it for you, and maybe they can implement it in their service schedule going forward. So at least you know about it and keep an eye on it. I'd also say that it can happen at any time. We had a couple of new ones where the sealant had adhered and they were on the forecourt and leaking. Luckily we got to it quick and did something about it. So it can happen at any stage. Seems to be the older ones, if it hasn't done it in 10 years, it probably won't do it. It'll probably be okay. But when we're looking at 5, 6, 7-year-old Caravans, the 2019 van has now just done it. It's the first time that's done that. So that's at that age. So keep an eye on it. I wasn't a great advocate of using covers during the winter. I'm now kind of changing my mind on that because there were positives and negatives to using covers. And unfortunately now I think that the positives are starting to outweigh the negatives because you could have a significant amount of damage caused, sunroofs cracking, cant rails going, water ingress coming through the window rubbers, as I've been mentioning, and all of those three things left unchecked can cause us a significant amount of damage, running into thousands sometimes. So if you're going to leave your caravan somewhere for a good few months over the winter, I would say it's worth putting a cover on, especially as it gets older. And again, the warranty would cover your permanent seals, but it's not going to cover window rubber. So maybe a cover would be a good thing to do. If you can store it under cover, that's even better. Or just keep it on the drive and keep an eye on it. Check it every few weeks just to make sure everything's okay. Do the pinch test yourself and then keep an eye on it. So yeah, I will stop there. Like, subscribe, do everything, and share this as well. That would be a good thing to do if you share this video, because I think it's important to at least make people aware of it, if nothing else. And it would be interesting though in your comments below, which I'm sure you're going to comment on. Let me know if this is something that would make you think twice about buying a Swift Caravan. You should know about it. Now you do know about it if you've watched this video. Would it make you think, I don't want to buy a Swift Caravan because they haven't told me about it, which is common issue number one? But if they did tell you about it, you think, oh, okay, fair enough. I know about it. I'm still going to buy a Swift Caravan. So yeah, pop in the comments below what effect this knowledge would have on your future buying choices. Let me know if you have had problems with this before. We see it. And obviously I don't speak to all the other dealers. I don't know whether it's something that we've picked up on and we see, but with all these kind of things, I have spoken to other dealers and we see a small amount and then they see lots of them. So I don't think we're any different to any other dealer. So I would have thought that the other dealers would be seeing the same issues as well. It's certainly not I know we get a lot of rain down in Cornwall, but I don't think we're any different to any other place in the country. So it'd be interesting to know if you have had this problem. Let me know and let me know what happened about it. I'm going up to Eldest next week, so that'll be interesting to see what happens there. Keep an eye out for that video. I'll be doing, the plan is to do an interview with Adam and then for that to go out on Caravan Radio. So we'll see what happens there. I've got some quite horrible questions to ask. Whether he wants to answer them, I'm not sure. We'll see. And then we'll see what happens there. It's going to be interesting, whatever happens. So I'll see you on the next video. Thank you very much.